the first thing for me to do is to say thank you to you for coming and for giving this Build It Live thing a try if you haven't been here before. The agent that we're going to build this week is one that I'm real excited about. You might pick up on that from the way that I talk about it, but I have found that giving an AI agent or an assistant this kind of information about, say, your Clifton Strengths. I'm going to use Clifton Strengths today, but the concepts are translatable to a Myers-Briggs profile, a DISC profile, any others of those that you have come across in the past. I'm a big fan of Clifton Strengths personally, and it's something that I return to quite often so that I keep a good understanding of the way that I work and what my strengths and weaknesses are. And I find that if you give this context to an agent, even if you do nothing else to customize it, at the start of a conversation, you can simply give it the document and you go from almost zero personalization to like really strong and valuable personalization very quickly. So yeah, I just encourage you to give it a try. Let me just, oh cool, I'm just pulling up the chat so I can see any questions that come in. So the way these sessions are structured is for the first 15 minutes, I will build what I've said that we're going to build, and then we can do Q&A for the second half. So this one I have called a team cohesion agent, but there's kind of multiple different ways that you could build an agent that uses this profile information. You could build it as a personal advisor with insight into your Clifton Strengths or DISC profile, and then use it to navigate difficult conversations. For example, it can advise you on how to have conversations without turning those into conflict, or navigating a project with somebody else. It can be helpful for that. Or if you're a team leader, you could provide it access to Clifton Strengths or DISC profile information for everyone in the team. And then you can say to it, we have this project, here's an outline of what the project is. Can you help me find 3 people out of the 10 who might be the best suited to tackle this project? That's another way you could use it. Or to kind of go slightly bigger scale again, you could create a matrix of strengths across your whole business, and then using that new matrix that you've got, I've got an image of one. I might show this again at the end. This is an image of a matrix of Clifton Strengths, an example across a whole business, so you can see how the different people whose names are down the left-hand side, how their strengths stack up across the whole business, and then over here is the strengths of the business as an overview. And then what that allows you to do, if you built the agent for that kind of purpose, is you can use it as a deliberate hiring mechanism to say, okay, take a look at this matrix of skills across the whole business. And then you can decide whether you hire in order to plug the gaps that you might have in your strengths matrix, or whether you deliberately double down where you are strongest and aim to hire people that complement the strengths that your business already has. So I'll get on with building, and the one that I'm going to build is kind of more like a personal advisor. So I'm going to give it access to my own Clifton Strengths, and then I'll just give it one other example Clifton Strengths and demonstrate how it can do that sort of language analysis and matching really quickly, a lot faster than we can. So I'm inside the app now, and I'm going to create a new workspace for this, which I just did incidentally by clicking the word workspace and then create workspaces in that drop-down list. So I'll just call it Drone Zone, which is what I call all of my AutoHive demos. And I'm going to grab an agent from the browse agent space called Prompt Writer. You may in the past have heard me talk about Queen Bee. Prompt Writer and Queen Bee effectively do exactly the same thing. Prompt Writer is a more deliberate and direct name for it. So I'm going to have a natural language conversation with the Prompt Writer agent that you can get from the browse agents page, and it is going to help to write the instructions for the agent that we're building. So I'm just going to use my voice to prompt it, so you don't have to watch me type out a reasonably long prompt. I would like to do this light and quickly, please, so no need for lots of clarifying questions. I want us to create the instructions for a whole new agent, and this agent will be a Clifton Strengths specialist. It should understand the Clifton Strengths concepts in detail and be able to apply the knowledge when in a conversation with the user. In its content area, it'll have a single document, which is the Clifton Strengths information for me. I am the primary user. When the agent is provided Clifton Strengths or disc profile information for another person, it should conduct a cross comparison in order to answer questions I then ask about how I might best work with this person or discuss something sort of productively with that person. The goal of this agent is to help me work to my strengths and mitigate my weakness and help foster better teamwork and help others to shine in a collaborative work context. I will provide you with the same Clifton Strength document that this new agent will have. And that way, if you decide to include any of that information directly into the system instructions, you can do so. So please review that document before you start writing instructions. So whilst that tool transcribes what I just said, obviously that was a long prompt, and I'm trying to shortcut the process of getting to the system instructions that it is going to write for me. If I had said a lot less there, it would probably go through and ask me lots of clarifying questions, and I'll take the time to answer those, and then it will write the instructions. But I'm hoping that we might sort of skip some of that process here. And that's also why I said I would like to do this light and quickly, no need for clarifying questions. It will help to step you through the process if you give it less information. So I just need to attach those Clifton Strengths. And what we should start to get from this agent is some system instructions. Yeah, here we go. So it's starting to write out instructions for this new agent. And once it's finished writing the instructions, I'll go and create the new agent, and then we can take it for a quick spin. I'll give it the other example, Clifton Strengths, and we'll see how useful it starts to become. And this is a good sort of opportunity to extol the virtues of using a prompt engineering agent to help you write instructions, because the detail that this agent goes into in writing out exactly what this agent should do and including things that it shouldn't do and putting constraints around it are far more in depth and in detail than you're likely to write yourself, right? So when you're building agents using a prompt engineer, always read every word. You'll probably want to make changes to what it writes. For this use case, I'm gonna blindly trust it a little bit, and I'm just gonna hit copy up here. And then I'm gonna create a new agent. Let's give it a name. It can be Clifton Strengths Hero. Whoops. Helps me understand myself better and have good conversation. So I'm just going to paste those instructions into the agent instructions section. For something like this, where it requires a little bit of creativity, it's doing analysis of the language in the two different documents. I am going to use an Anthropic model. I really like Claude for these more creative tasks. And I'm going to leave the temperature at 0.7, which is what the sort of well understood default is for most models. Temperature controls how much creativity they are allowed in how they predict the next word. We don't need to go too far down that rabbit hole, but there are reasons for particular agents where you might use a temperature of 0 because you don't want any creativity. That might be like a data analysis tool, for example. So one thing I still need to do, which I haven't actually done yet, is add the specific content source. So you can browse your workspace content folder. It's not in here yet. I will add that just now, and then give it access to that document. So I'll create this agent as it is and just share it to the drone zone workspace. Now in the content area at the top, I am going to upload a new file, which is my Clifton Strengths. And then I'll go back to the agent and update its settings so that it has and references that file. So in content source, and you may find that you need to keep this ticked, let your agent search your workspace content folder in order for it to use this content. So I'll just select that and press done and press update. Cool, so now we've built the agent using the prompt engineer. I'll just take it for a quick spin. Okay, please give me a TLDR on my Clifton Strengths. So I'm really just doing this to make sure that it's actually referencing the file that I've given it instructions to reference. Let's pull the file back into the thread so you can see that it has referenced those. It's giving me a summary. It's telling me about my blind spots. You may overthink decisions. That's definitely accurate. Cool. So next, I'll give it another example set of Clifton Strengths for a Buzz Comewell, a made-up person, but a real set of Clifton Strengths. Okay, now give me a TLDR on Buzz's strengths, please. And whilst I haven't asked it to do so, I'd imagine it might do a little bit of a cross comparison here and tell us how we might complement one another, but we can prompt that out of it in a second. Okay, so it hasn't done that. So the next prompt that I'll give it is to try and extract some of that from it. Okay, can you help me understand how I could collaborate best with Buzz Comewell, please? I've provided you Buzz's Clifton Strengths already in the thread, and I want to make sure that our strengths, when we collaborate on a new project where we will be creating a series of marketing emails to be sent out to free trial users of our agent building app. When we work on that project together, I want to understand how we can collaborate best to get the best result. So it's just going to transcribe that again. So what it starts to do now is that leap that the human brain can't do very quickly, which is cross-matching the language from both of the documents and figuring out, if you think about it like kind of lots of connected synonyms, how the two strengths and weaknesses connect and how the language can be analyzed to come up with a sort of complementary plan. So it's making recommendations for how the project could run, who might be best to lead in different phases of the project. Obviously, if I had a far more detailed project brief than just the sentence or two that I gave it, then the results start to become more and more accurate. And I guess without pushing this agent too much further and using too many more examples, there are some really powerful ways that you can build similar agents, just like the ones I mentioned at the start, where you might ask it, consider the strengths of the whole team and help me pick who is best to lead a specific project, for example, or that matrix thing. So it's 12:15. I'm right on time for building. With that, I will just drag this back across here. And if anybody wants to ask the first question, I would love to hear your questions.